go from there. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this roundtable. We have a couple of different topics that we're going to discuss today. We are recording this one because we had technical issues this morning, and that recording was a serious mess. So we're hoping that this one is going to be less of a mess, and something that we are able to put up on the webpage for others to see who are not able to make it. Remember that you are on Zoom, and if you would prefer not to be seen in the recording, then feel free to turn your camera off. So we will go ahead and get started. So welcome to the roundtable. Our first topic of conversation is going to be what's happening with the Child Care Assistance Program. We talked last time about an information memo that came out that talks about what to plan for CCAP in the fall if you are a CCAP provider. That link to the memo is on the bottom of this page. So that you can pull it up yourself and reread it again if you didn't see it before. We got a lot more information about what's going on with CCAP, and there's a lot of changes that are taking place over the next. There's some of them started in 2024, are continuing in 2025, and will finish up in 2026. These are in response to some federal mandates that have occurred that Colorado needed to do some things a little bit differently with CCAP than what was happening. The state has put together a very comprehensive plan that is going to include such things as increasing your reimbursement rate, moving to enrollments instead of attendance for CCAP. There's several other things that are going to benefit both families and providers. And one of the changes that they're making, and by the way, those benefits are going to cost millions and millions and millions of dollars, and the state does not have any more money coming in than what they already have for CCAP. So they have to do more with the same amount of money. So, in order to do that, one of the things that they are doing is they are moving to stacking CCAP with UPK rather than blending it, which is happening now. So, as an example, right now, if you have a child, if you have a CCAP contract and you have a child who has been identified as being eligible for 30 hours per week of UPK, and they are also authorized for a full day with CCAP, you're getting both of those. You're getting the full 30-hour rate plus the full day for CCAP. What's going to happen beginning in August of 2025 is that the UPK hours will be first in. So the 30 hours that are being paid for by UPK will be the first dollars in, and then any other hours that the family is eligible for with CCAP will be paid by the state additionally, but not on top of UPK. So there would be a part-time rate there for the rest of the hours from the 30 hours on up. And that's how you would get paid for CCAP beginning in August of 2025. So we want to make sure that you're prepared for that. If a family is only eligible for 15 hours per week and they're with you for 9 hours, then nothing will change for you because the first 15 hours will be UPK, half day rate, and the rest of the hours will be at a full-time rate for CCAP. So nothing will change for you, but they definitely will change for families who are eligible for 30 hours of UPK and also full time for CCAP. There's going to be a full memo coming out that has all sorts of information about the changes with CCAP. It's in draft form right now, and it's in the communication office to make sure that it is where it needs to be. These are all rule changes that are happening, and so more to come on that. But again, we want to make sure that you are fully prepared for the August change when you are doing your financial projections. So that's the update on CCAP. So we are now going to move to some information on the Universal Preschool Resource Bank. And before we play, we hope, a 4-minute video for you that is an introduction to the resource bank. I wanted to let you know that the timeframes that have been put out there for the resource bank are going to be slowed down, particularly with the curriculum and instructional support piece. The reason for that is because the state has decided they've listened to a lot of feedback and they have decided that they need more individualization in terms of how this is being done. So they want to honor the mixed delivery system. And so what will work for curriculum and instructional support in a family child care home is different from what will work in a center, which is different from what will work in a school. So they're trying to be thoughtful about this, and instead of doing a one size fits all, they're rolling things out as they have figured out each one of those individualized pieces. So 25-26 will likely not change in terms of the instructional support requirements, except for the possibility that you may still need to beef up your professional development. But anything having to do with instructional curriculum, etc., is being more slowly implemented at this point. However, there is a prototype that is being put out there right now of the resource bank, which is what we want to show you, what we think it's going to look like. LCOs have been given the opportunity and will have the opportunity through April 5th to provide feedback to the state on the content of the resource bank. What you're seeing today is how it will be organized. So that's not going to change, but the content could be adjusted as we're going over it to see if there's anything missing. So let's see if we're lucky enough that we can actually play this. I'm going to give it a shot.
Welcome to the Colorado Universal Preschool Resource Bank. The Resource Bank is an excellent tool and it's easy to explore. So let's get started. What will you find here? A wonderful collection of foundational resources, including templates, guidance, and information to help universal preschool programs and educators align their practices with the Universal Preschool Quality Standards rules. All of these resources are organized into 3 content areas, which align with the 3 Universal Preschool Quality Standards: family and community engagement, healthy development, and instructional practice. The resource bank also includes links to other helpful information, including frequently asked questions, the Universal Preschool Provider Handbook, the Professional Development Information System, or the PDIS, special education within the Universal Preschool Program, and Colorado Shines. Let's dig a little deeper. Remember the 3 Universal Preschool Quality Standards that have helped us organize the resource bank? You can find them on the homepage or on the tabs at the top of the resource bank. Family and community engagement supports all aspects of children's identities by recognizing that families are children's first caregivers and most important teachers. Healthy development supports the healthy minds and bodies of each child. And instructional practice focuses on the learning experiences offered to children, which should support the development of the whole child and include ongoing assessment of children's learning. Each universal preschool quality standard has a content area in the resource bank, and each content area is divided into sections. on the resource bank, you can visit the PDIS, navigate to the Resources tab, and then select Colorado Universal Preschool Resource Bank. Scroll down to Contact Us if you need to reach out.
I thought I was so smart by muting myself, and when I muted myself, I also muted the audio. So I apologize. We're going to go ahead and put the link to this in the chat for you so that you can watch it on your own. And yeah, I'm really, really sorry, folks. Anyway, I hope you got the point on the resource bank and understand that it's going to be in three sections and that there's going to be three parts to each section. So there should be plenty of information in there for you. And again, the link is in the chat so that you can watch that on your own time. And again, I apologize. I didn't realize what I was doing. Okay, we're going to move to direct enrollment now. And by the way, at the end, we'll answer any questions that you have, as always. So let's talk about where we are right now, because there does seem to still be some confusion about what stage of life, of UPK life, we are in right now. So, as you know, the second algorithm ran on March 10th. And on, I believe, the 12th or the 13th, you were then able to see your proposed matches. These are folks that are in placed status in your portal. Remember that that parents cannot see any proposed matches. This is an opportunity for you to look at those proposed matches, to reach out to the parent and say, hey, I see you chose me on the application. There's a proposed match. I would love for you to come to a tour. You cannot see your match yet, but this is where you have a proposed match. Please come in and let's see if this is going to be a good fit for you, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have the discussion with the parent, even if they're not able to come in and tour or they already have. You can just make absolutely sure that they are aware of if there's any additional charges, what they are, what your hours are, etc. Because on March 24th, their proposed matches are going to be published to them. And at that point, they're going to have a week to either accept or decline those matches. So you want to be sure that that if you know you've talked to somebody and you know that they are not, it's not going to work. They can't afford you, or your hours don't work, or something of that sort, then you already know that. And the family can actually, if we unlock their application, the family can actually go in and withdraw that place on, or decline it on March 24th. So we want that to happen so that your seats are no longer held up for somebody that is not intending to come to you. You are always free if you would like to. I mean, the 24th is not that far away, but you are always free if you would like. If you talk to a parent and the parent says, man, that's not going to work for me, I really want to see if I can do my second choice or my third choice or whatever it was. They are going to have to call us. It cannot be you. Call or email us and let us know that they understand that they have a proposed match with X provider and that's not going to work for them, and they want to see if they can get a match someplace else. So we cannot take your word for it that the family said that they don't want you. We have to hear it from the family. So that's what's happening until the 24th. And then on the 24th, those matches are published to the family. And as I said, they have a week to either accept or decline. If they do nothing, that that is supposed to go back into selected status that after a week. That has not been happening immediately, but it has been happening eventually. So, don't worry about that unless it's holding up a seat for you that you already need or want for somebody else, at which point you can reach out to us and we'll help you take care of it. Um, so on April 1st, direct enrollment begins. Okay. And we're in direct enrollment right now for 24-25. I mean, there are still families that are applying for universal preschool for the end of the year, and they could be choosing you. And if you're not checking your portal for those that are in selected status, you may be losing the opportunity to enroll a child for the rest of the year if you have an open seat. But it's also going to be very important for 25-26 that you do the same thing. So let's talk about a couple of scenarios here. It's probably easier to bring this into focus by talking about really the two most common ways that direct enrollment happens. So the first is that a parent contacts you to ask if you have open seats. So they're looking for a seat. The provider, you, then verifies the child's date of birth and confirms that the child is eligible for a UPK seat. Now, remember, eligibility for a UPK seat is solely based on the child's date of birth. So they have to be 4 by October 1, but not 5 by October 1, unless you are adhering to a different cutoff date based on your setup form. The parent goes to the upk.colorado.gov and submits an application choosing you that's where they want to go and the program where you have a seat and then they submit the application. And so you can think about the fact that this parent is actually standing in front of you. They have completed a tour with you and they've said, "Yeah, I like this. I want to come to you." Okay? All of this can be done in real time standing in front of you. Okay. So the parent submits the application, and the provider, you, will see the child in selected status, and you can immediately offer a match to that parent. And that means clicking accept when that family is in selected status. The parent then accepts the match in their child's application, and you enroll the child. Okay. So all of that can be done without ever talking to us, if you would like. So here's the next scenario. So the parent submits a UP application and chooses two providers where they would like to attend. So theoretically, if they are submitting a new application when direct enrollment begins, they're only going to be allowed to choose two providers. It's the same thing for this year. That has not changed. And then the provider, you, when you're checking your portal, and we're going to talk about how to do that, you notice that you have a child in selected status. And when you're checking your portal, you don't have to do it daily if you don't want to, but I do it fairly regularly because that family can put up to two providers in their application, and the other provider may beat you to that family if you're not checking. So then the provider, you notice that they're in selected status. You reach out to the family to offer them a tour and answer any questions. You'll have all the information that you need to be able to do that. The family then confirms that they would like a seat with you. The provider offers a match from their portal. You offer them a match. The family accepts the match and the provider enrolls. So once again, this can all be done without talking to me or Heather, although we're very nice to talk to. Okay. So to be able to view the direct enrollment selections, just as a reminder, first you log into your provider portal. You select either the 24-25 program or the 25-26 program from the drop-down menu, and you navigate to your matched tab. Okay, matched. And then you're going to click on the status drop down and check the selected box right here. Okay. And then this is going to show you the families that are in selected status. All right. From there on in, you are going to follow the process that is in the provider handbook. All of this is in the handbook, and please just follow the process that is in there, okay? And it's exactly what we talked about. It's you offering them a match by clicking on accepted, and then them accepting the match if they want it, and then you enrolling. So the steps are in the handbook for you to be able to see exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay. They have made it easy. When a student name is no longer bolded, you will know you have opened that application, but bolded ones you have not yet opened. Okay. So remember that when you're offering them a match, you're doing accept. But that does not mean they're in accepted status. They still have to accept. Okay. So you cannot enroll anybody who is not in accepted status. So you have to do those two steps. And that last step is always at the behest, if you will, of the family. Ultimately, they decide whether or not they want to come with you. Okay, so they've got that last step to accept the match, and at that point, you can enroll. Now, let's talk a little bit about what happens if you do not have any seats. Well, actually, let's go through these FAQs because these are easier to kind of explain. These are also in the handbook, by the way. So let's go through these questions. Will providers receive a notification when families select their program? No. You have to go in and check your selected list. Okay. Is the process in real time or do we have to wait overnight for a selection to show up on our dashboard? No, it's in real time. So that's why the family could be standing in front of you and you could complete all of this within 10 minutes. Will all providers see that child's application in their dashboard? Can more than one provider respond with an acceptance or a decline? So again, if it's a new application, there will only be two providers in there, and both providers can see the family in selected status. So if you're not checking your selected status regularly, then that other provider may have made contact and the family may accept that match, and then you're out of luck. So make sure you're checking that. So, what about students who have more than two selections? So, you need to remember, forget the July 5th date in here. You need to remember that there are plenty of applications right now in the system that did not make it through the second matching algorithm. They were not submitted in time. And at that point, those families could have put up to 10 providers on their list. So, what happens there? Do only the top two are shown? No. All 10 are going to see that the family is in selected status. Okay. So again, reach out, check your selected status and reach out. But the family cannot accept more than one match at a time. So they can't accept a match at two providers at the same time. And we need to make absolutely sure, and hopefully you can help us with this, that when a family goes in to complete an application or goes in to accept their application, we don't want them doing a new application to participate in direct enrollment. Use the one that they have. Okay. And if your choice is on there and they're selected and you've sent them a match, then all they have to do is go into that application and they can see the match and they can accept it. Will families be able to select a program that is full? Yes, they will. So this is the place where if you don't have any seats, and the family selects you, then we want you to decline that family so that they can then add another provider. They need to know their status. They need to know that you don't have any seats. And so if you see somebody in selected status and you have a program that is full, and maybe you only have one program and it's full, we want you to decline that selected. So go in and decline it so that the family is aware that you don't have it. So as you're checking your selected list, decline those families for which you do not have a seat. So what will happen to students who are waitlisted? So this is interesting because a lot of you, you can't see the quote unquote wait list that occurred between round one and round two. Okay. So if you had a program in which, let's say, you had 5 seats and 15 people wanted those seats, excuse me, based on the lottery number, the first five got those seats. And the other 15, if they were not matched someplace else, ended up on a wait list with you. But you don't know that unless you ask us and we tell you what your wait list looks like for your own planning purposes. Okay. So after we go into direct enrollment, there is no longer a wait list for anybody. From there on in, those seats completely and totally belong to you. You do not have to check with us to see if the person that you're considering enrolling was currently on your wait list, what place they were in, or anything of that sort. From there on in, those seats belong to you. Okay? So there's no such thing as a wait list, except as you keep a wait list once direct enrollment begins. And you're certainly free to do that once direct enrollment begins. Okay? Once you accept a student selection, the family will have 7 calendar days to accept the match and move forward with the enrollment process. If they do not do that, then we can withdraw them after that time and open up your seat again. So, what if a family decides they no longer want to move forward with the selection? A family can withdraw from a program if they are in selected, placed, matched, or accepted status. This new feature gives you and the family even greater ability to respond to any changes in the application process. A view of the family withdrawal step is provided on the following page of the application. Of the handbook. Okay. So once again, you can go through this entire direct enrollment process without ever having to talk to Heather or I if you don't want to. We're here to talk to you. We're here to help you. So one of the snafus that often happens is that a family has 2 applications in the system. And they're trying to sign into one, and their actual match or placement or whatever is in the other. That will cause a serious issue. And that is one that either Heather or I have to resolve for you. Okay. And so you'll hear from families that say, I can't accept. Well, they can't accept because they have 2 applications and they're trying to get into the one where they don't have a match. So those are the ones that we have to help the family with. So you can send them to us and we can help them take care of that. Okay. All right, so that is direct enrollment. Let me finish the few other slides that are on here, and then we're going to stop and we're going to take any questions that you may have. So just reminding you that the state help desk is up and running. Parents have priority in this, and so if you have families who need help, they can usually get help pretty quickly through the state help desk. Here are all of the links to the state help desk and the telephone number. Providers are the second in line in terms of priorities, but it often takes them a day or two to be able to get back to you. So, frankly, you're likely to get faster help if you contact us. But there's the information for the help desk, and feel free to send that to families if they need to need assistance with something simple. If it's not simple, frankly, the help desk will send it back to us and we'll work with the family or with you to address the situation. Um, I wanted to remind you that CDEC has office hours monthly. The provider office hours with simultaneous Spanish interpretation are scheduled on the first Tuesday of the month and the fourth Monday of the month. School district office hours are here on the third Tuesday, and the AU office hours are on the, sorry, third Thursday, and the AU office hours are on the second Tuesday. I would really suggest that once a month you pick one of these two state office hours and join it. Sometimes they get information to you quicker than they do to us, and sometimes they are able to go into more in depth on some of the things that you are interested in knowing more about. However, they usually are flooded with questions and are not able to get to all of the questions that are put in the chat. So that's why we also hold roundtables so that we can assist you with any help that you need that is more specific to your program or answer your questions if the state is not getting back to you in what you consider to be a timely manner. Reminding you that there are bunches of resources. The provider handbook, there is a new one coming out very shortly. The link on the UPK page, the JIUPK page, is always the link to the latest provider handbook. The latest one that's been published right now is December 12th, but there will be a new one coming out shortly. Same thing with the family handbook. Reminding you that the CDEC website and the Colorado Universal Preschool newsletter is available to you, and that we have our own two web pages for providers and families. I'm a little bit behind in updating the provider handbook, but that, or the provider page, but that's on my fun agenda for tomorrow. So those are available to you. So that's the end of our slides. I'm going to stop sharing and I think I'm going to stop sharing. And now I am going to ask you what questions or comments you have. Anything we can help you with?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So let's say I kept some UPK spots to the side for my 3-year-olds, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't put all the spots in.
Right.
So now you say there might be a wait list and you might let me know that there is a wait list and you will give it to me, yes or no, I don't know. So I see all these people. And so what do I do then from there? If I say, do I give them all a tour since I know there are still some spots open because I didn't maybe fill that up with the 3-year-olds? And then I offer one family that, or do I need to pick from the top who was there first?
No. So on April 1, you should be able to see everybody who has you somewhere on their application if they do not yet have a match. So it will not only be the folks who have run through the algorithm but don't have a match and you're still in selected status with them, but it will also be new people who have enrolled since the algorithm ran. Okay. And so you're going to be able to see everybody that has you in selected status somewhere on their application. From
Even
there,
I don't have the spots still open.
correct.
Okay.
And so you can, at that point, you can pick and choose whoever you want on that list to reach out to them and offer them a tour. And remember that, let's say, I'll give you an extreme example here. Let's say there was a person who applied for their kiddo. They put 10 matches on, or 10 10 providers on their application. They did it after the second algorithm had run, so they do not have a match. Okay. You may be in 10th position with them. Every other provider that's on there can also see that they're on their list. So you need to, if you have spots open and you're concerned about filling your spots, then you need to reach out to as many of those folks as you can and offer them a tour. Now, they may say to you, oh, no, no, I'm hoping for my first choice, which is KinderCare. Okay. So thank you very much. I'm not going to do that, but thank you. And then at that point, what you can do is you can decline them so that they come off of your list because you know that they don't want you. You can decline them. So you move them from selected to decline and then move on. Okay. I do not know whether or not you will know what position you are in on somebody's application. I do not believe that you will be able to see that. But you could be in 10th position, you could be in first position. So if you see somebody who is in selected and you have seats open, feel free to reach out to them in any order your little heart desires and offer them a tour, an opportunity to see if it's a good fit. And then if it is, you can offer them a match. They have to accept it, and then you enroll.
Okay, makes sense. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Other questions? Wow, we were that good today, huh? Okay. The resource bank is coming. Um, we put the link in the chat for you to watch the entire YouTube with audio. And it will give you some sort of an idea as to how it's set up. If you want to go back and look at it again, you can certainly do that. And direct enrollment is coming April 1st. Remember that right now, the families that are in play status with you cannot see their matches. Those matches go to them on the 24th and not before. And they have 1 week to accept or decline. All right. Teresa, did you have a question?
Nope, you were very thorough. Thank you so much.
All right, good. Glad to hear it. Heidi, you good?
Were you guys going to discuss the billing part, like the uploading of the documents? Because since this is my first year, I don't have to do mine until the end of March. So I thought you guys were gonna touch on that. Is that not?
The expenditure reports are going to be addressed in the state provider
Oh, okay. I
update,
misread the email then. Okay.
right? State
Sounds good.
provider update. So
Monday, the 24th.
yes, and if
Okay.
you have any questions about any of that, you need to submit a tech ticket to Metrics IQ. But I would very much suggest that you attend that office hours, the state office hours on the 24th, if you have questions about your expenditure report.
Will do. I just misread the email. I thought that was you know.
I
Anyway.
don't think you're the only one, Heidi, so I was not terribly clear.
No worries. I'll attend that. I think it should be fairly easy for me since I'm just going to submit payroll, but I only got one email about it. It was just like, "Hey, this is another email that you received," but it wasn't really, it was the first one I'd received, so it was kind of unclear because they said this should be the second email you received, which it wasn't. So I think maybe they were talking about people that had received it from the previous year. So I'll attend that. Thank you guys very much.
Yes, I think you're exactly right. I don't think that they're necessarily tailoring it to new providers this year who didn't have to report on 23-24 because you weren't a partner in 23-24. But now you have to report on the first 2 quarters. And then there will be a third report that is due in the summer sometime. I think it's the end of July. but I actually can't remember. And that'll be your third quarter, and it will sum up basically all of the money that you received from UPK and how you spent it. Okay?
I have a quick question though.
Uh-huh.
So, what is now important? Is it important to give the family either the 360, which is the 10 hours, or the 450? Or is it important to give them 38 weeks? I'm a little confused with that because when you give 38 weeks, you don't give necessarily 15 hours in the week because when you calculate this to 10 months it don't calculate the whole 15 hours for the whole week. So is it now important for me to give the, okay, let's say I do 15 hours, okay, so is it then for me now important to give the 450 through the whole year, or do I have to match the 38 weeks?
No, it's not 38 weeks anyway. It was initially based on 36 weeks with 10 hours per week, and you had to have 360 hours minimum. The confusion around all of this, Sandra, was really around the state not really thinking about what happens when a family is eligible for 15 hours and what happens when a family is eligible for 30 hours and what happens when a provider is only being paid for 10 hours versus 15 hours versus 30 hours. So there were a lot of questions asked about that. One of your cohorts really has dived into this with the state
Yeah.
and has shown them why the way they were doing things was not the best way to go. They did make a decision about the minimum number of hours you had to provide. The legislation says 360 hours, but if you're being paid for a half-time program, then they did decide that there was a certain number of hours, and I don't have them in front of me, but I sent the email out to all of you with my mea culpa. There's a certain number of hours you have to provide if you're getting paid for 15 hours, and then a certain minimum number of hours you have to provide if you're getting paid for 30 hours. So when you set up your UPK calendar, you certainly can have weeks in which you're completely closed and you can still meet the minimum number of hours. So you have to set up your calendar and you have to make it clear to families when their UPK funding is going to be in effect and when their UPK funding is not going to be in effect. But I would also hope that you would take into consideration that if you have weeks at a time where the UPK funding is not going to be in effect, but you're going to be open, then that you give families the option of not attending and not having to pay for it or paying a reduced rate. But that's truly up to you. The state at this point has not said what to do with that. You're going to be paid August through May in equal amounts for a child that is enrolled in early August, and your last payment will be May 15th, or it will be at the end of May for kiddos enrolled on May 15th. So it's 10 equal payments. So take that into consideration, set up your calendar. You have to provide the minimum number of hours. If you're going with a half-day program, then there's a minimum number you have to provide. If you're staying with a part-day program, there's a minimum number you have to provide. And so set up your calendar based on that.
Okay. Okay. And that because I had families reaching out and saying, but your program is not 15 hours a week because we have to do that on our profile. But this is really hard to explain to them to say, yeah, it's not, but they said 15 hours a week. And yeah, but it's still, you're getting so and so many weeks, which makes it 450 hours for the whole year. So you still get the same amount because we give you more weeks. They're so confused, those parents.
Well, it is confusing. I mean, and parents aren't the only ones that are confused. It probably with the reduction in the total number of hours that need to be committed to as a minimum for a 15-hour a week program. Man, you're at 14 now. I'd certainly go to 15 and collect the whole half day rate and give parents the benefit of the 15 hours. Because with you being a part day program and doing 14 hours at this point, families and every family is eligible for 15 hours. They may choose to go someplace else that's going to give them the benefit for the full 15 hours, as opposed to, you getting paid for the 10 and then charging them for the extra four. So,
Right.
and they lowered the minimum hours from what I had originally thought that they were going to do. So, from a business perspective, it probably makes more sense for you to go with a half day program and set up your calendar so that you're giving them the minimum number of hours and being sure that you're clear on the weeks that you're closed and or not UPK, so that they know exactly what to expect when they sign up with you.
Yeah, and with the 450 hours, it makes now for me sense too, because that's why I didn't do it the last 2 years, because the 540 didn't make sense to me.
Right.
That's why
Right.
I went with the 360. So, but now with 450, it makes sense. So,
Yes,
okay,
and if you decide to do that, you need to get back to
I
me
did.
so I
Yeah,
can switch your programs over.
okay, will do.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have one. Where do we go to get a link for the meeting for CDEC on the 24th?
CDEC meeting. It's on the slides, and those will be posted tomorrow on our UPK site. But hey, Heather, can you pull that off of the slide, off of the slide, and put it in the chat for the meeting on the 24th or whatever it is? So we'll put it, it's a Google Meet. No, those are Zoom because it's simultaneous translation. So that's a Zoom meeting. So Heather will pull it off the slide and put it in the chat.
Hey, Noreen.
Thank you.
I just wanted to quickly verify. So the families get notified on Monday as far as the match.
Right.
If they do not accept or decline, what happens to them at that point?
They go back into selected status. So
Okay.
they may still show up on, if they don't do anything, they may still end up on your page in selected status.
And then that would be at that point, that would be me to drop or decline.
Right.
Okay. Because I did reach out to one family and we were supposed to do a tour on Wednesday, and all they did was leave a message on my machine saying, I'm going to have to cancel the tour and we don't need to bother to reschedule. And
Oh,
since then, I haven't been able to connect to them. So I was going to send them an email tomorrow because I
okay.
did go ahead and call back explaining to them that they would be seeing the match on Monday and then trying to explain to them the steps after. I just wanted to verify.
Yes. So, want to make sure that basically what you're saying to them is you're going to see your match sometime on Monday. Please don't tell them first thing in the morning because the state never sends them out first thing in the morning. So sometime on Monday is the best way to put it. And then, if they are not interested in you, that they should please sign in to their application and decline the match. And if they need help looking for another provider, then they should call Heather.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so very much.
Yep. Anything else? Okay, well, Heather, I think you can stop sharing. And I want